And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of Fans of Power. I am Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker. And T-Rex, how you doing this day?
I'm on top of the world. I'm ready to dig into another fun-filled episode of keeping this property alive, and amongst the fans there's so much more to it than just toys and stuff like that. There's so many things to always talk about.
Oh, there's definitely a lot that we'll discuss. I mean, speaking of toys, real quick, in case you guys didn't know, Super 7 has extended the pre-orders for the classics figures till this Monday afternoon. I don't know
Of
if
course,
it's
if you're catching it, it's Monday afternoon, then it's like you got less than 24 hours to get it together and figure out what you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. So they extended the pre-orders, which is great for those who maybe were still hanging on the fence, and maybe now they got a little funds on the weekend. Bam, they can get it. So that's good. But besides that, there was something said earlier this week. William George passed away, and for obviously everybody out there who knows the great box art, the posters, William George did so much for Masters of the Universe, and what a shame. I mean, I know that, like I said, he's touched so many people's lives. I mean, he's inspired so many people. Like I said when I posted earlier in the week, just let alone, I mean, not only, like I said, not only the box art, but just those posters he did. I think that's what captivated me so much. I always speak so much about that original the first, giant wall poster he did, the one that has, warriors on both sides coming in to fight Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, and of course the mysterious Wind Raider pilot. I mean, he's the one that made me start really using my imagination, because I was so captivated by that mystery character he drew in the Wind Raider that had no name that I gave him a name. But like I said, I love that he, put little homages. I mean, not homages, but put, his own twists and turns and own unique things and pieces. And I mean, it's so sad, but I mean, everybody can definitely know that his art was, it was so important. It was like just as important as the toys, you know what I mean? And I'm sure he inspired you just as much, but like just to look at the art, you got lost in the art. You could picture stories and battles going on just from a picture alone, and I mean, what are some of your things that you'd like to say, Tyler?
His slime pit is burning my brain like a cattle brand. I mean, it was like you took that box art and just plunged it into my skull, and it was forever, burned in there. I mean, that's always probably be the number one because of the impact that had on me when I saw it. Because
Yeah.
I could see the slime pit itself anywhere. Many years later. So that and the Jitsu Night Stalker 2 pack holds a special place in my heart. And
Yeah.
I mean, all those posters he did with the current roster of new characters, along with the previous characters from the '84 poster, the '85 poster that had the Horde, the Eternia poster, and then you got the pre-Eternia poster with Blade and Clan Champ, Sorod, and Scareglow, all them running with the
Right.
dinosaurs. It's and the Kellogg's poster with on the Dragon Walker, and you've got the hey,
Bashosaurus
kick
one.
the bat the one that was the one I was gonna say because it's got Two Bad and Spike Ore on it
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
And I love his depiction of making Castle Grayskull up this rocky, curvy mountaintop. Like
Right.
it just makes like just the idea of getting to this very mysterious and dangerous looking castle that much more, perilous to
Yeah.
get up to it because
And
of
he
this
did.
windy, rocky road that has no guardrails. That if you turn your attack truck slightly a little bit too far to the left, you're going over the edge. And
Right.
it just added such an epic scope to something that we always have seen on flat land, either on flat land like a flat plain, or surrounded by an abyss,
Right.
or various other interpretations. But I always loved that idea, and
Because he did that with many of them, didn't he? With
yeah,
his posters of, yeah, it was like you said, it was dire, to go up to Castle Grayskull,
and I would love to see that used a lot more. Like the idea of getting to Castle Grayskull, it makes villainous armies trying to break into it. You can't just walk a straight line. You got to get your army up it and tanks and destructo tanks. If Hordak was going to try to invade it, you're going to get destructo tanks up that windy curve without losing a bunch of troopers. And I mean, it's small details that I'm sure in his mind he just thought it looked cool. But I mean, to us, as He-Man fans looking at, I mean, those are small details you can appreciate that. It's
You just got
it's
lost in
hard to
every piece.
see that kind of edginess thrown in. And I
Right.
mean, for me, of the past illustrators, Earl Norm has left us, and now William. I mean, Earl McCarthy is the last of my top three of the vintage artists. I mean, don't get me wrong, that there are so many other great artists. I mean, guys who worked on the Golden Books and things like that, just to name a few. Bruce Timm, Larry Houston. Still, I mean, well, I guess I'm thinking along the lines of. I think of Larry Houston, Bruce Timm as like separate artists because they worked on the comic books, as opposed to these guys who were working on the oil paintings and things like that. So I kind of felt like and then Earl was not necessarily
No,
point
I get what
point
you mean.
point being is that it's I've always held William George in such high regard up there with Earl Norman, and Errol McCarthy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's devastating, but I think he was aware that his art was still beloved, all these years later.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, how is it possible that you can capture the imagination of children with a poster or a box art as much as a toy? I mean, we've said it so much. Every fan, it seems like a master says the same thing. But you would sit there and you would look, whether you're looking at that box art or one of those big posters, and just you're mesmerized. I can't tell you how many
Well,
times I
like
would.
the Horde poster that's up on the screen here,
Yeah.
having the Horde kind of come up through the center as if like these are the new bad boys of Eternia, with their fright zone right there, and they're depicted dead center between the two original factions. I mean, just him deciding, okay, we're going to market these new guys, make them, a pivotal point in this poster we're going to be doing, and
Sure. It's like every year.
it makes them look like these are some serious ass kickers, even though it's a roster poster. It's a battle that's kind of coming together, but it would be. I'm almost tempted to say the Horde poster is probably my favorite, but I felt that a bit blasphemous since the pre-Eternia one's got Blade and Clamptrap in it.
I mean, no, they're all great. I mean, every one's great, like you said, because every year it's like,
everyone
yeah.
is great, but there's something about that Horde poster because I love how he's got Mossman posed with a torch in his hand, kind of hunched over, as if like him, Cyclone, and Thunder Punch Him were coming out of a cave.
Sure.
And it just looks. I've always loved that pose he gave Mossman, hunched over with a big torch.
Yeah. All the little touches he would
I
do.
want to see He-Man, Thunder Punch He-Man, Cyclone, and Mossman going through this cave looking for something,
Yeah. But it was interesting, like you said, the touches he would add to all of them, always giving certain characters a weapon they never had. Somebody maybe having a sword that would never have a sword, or doing something that you'd never expect. But I think the one, like I said, that always captivated me was his first one, just because that one was the one that I remember had hanging in. We had a pool table in our basement, and it was hung right by the pool table. And I just would go down in the basement and stare at the poster. It's like, I just love staring at it. And then I remember when the Eternia one came out, what an epic, I mean, you talk about ultimate battleground. I mean, just all the stuff that's going on in that poster and little details. People like falling. I can't remember if it was Clampchamp or somebody that was hanging like he was getting falling into a pit.
Clampchamp is like he's climbing along the crater surrounding it, and you get the Horde troopers running up the bridge to it.
Yeah. And hey, he's the one that gave us.
So cool.
Yeah, he's the one that gave us Multibot and Modulok to have, Mega Beast. I mean, he's the one that gave that, in its first. But God, it's just, like I said, it's sad. Like I said, very sad news. But I mean, there's no doubt that this art will just live forever. As everybody said, in our hearts, future generations. It's so amazing. It's so breathtaking that you could stare at a picture and envision battles and not even play with your figures, but look at that. And then sometimes it inspired you to do that with your figures.
Well, yeah, you can look at all the posters, see all the box art, and decide this like the Dragon Walker poster where you've got, I think, Beastman, Evelyn, and Skeletor on that poster. I think coming down from Castle Grayskull, I think is He-Man, because I've got it in my collector's room in the closet. I think it's the Dragon Walker is kind of coming up as if it was going to stop them from getting, but it's just cool. Like that's a battle in itself. Battle Armor He-Man on the Dragon Walker fighting Evelyn, Beastman, and Skeletor. I think it's Battle Armor Skeletor on that poster, I think. But the posters alone, like if you're going to show some kid, you want to know what these characters are all about, what you're supposed to do with your action figures, you show them one of those posters. gets the picture right away. I mean, that tells you exactly who is who needs to be fighting who, and who's on whose side. It's
Yeah, I wish that like more of his art, could have possibly appeared in other mediums. Like how Earl Norham had his posters, highlighted in the magazines back in the day. I wished that William George's could have had the same treatment. Reason being is, we know his amazing pieces of box art. We've known that, but there was a lot of the ones of his big posters that people forgot about. Not just the four main wall posters that are gigantic.
yeah.
The Kellogg's ones, for example, is like you said with the Dragon Walker and the Bashosaurus. There's many fans that never seen those and never even knew about them, and they miss these great pieces. So that's what's great to share. That's why we're always sharing posts on Facebook, other social media. And I just, man, if there's a collection that deserves to, again, be shown for everybody, I think William George, it'd be great to have a highlight, really great full color scans of everything, high resolution of every one of his pieces. They really need to be shown to all fans who maybe missed some of his great, great pieces of art.
Yeah, the land shark right there's another prime example of, I mean, just making any vehicle look like this is the ultimate threat to the universe. And I mean, the land shark, of course, aside from its essential visual design, that makes it look like the ultimate ass kicker for Skeletor's means of transportation. The box art alone just makes you feel like, oh my gosh, this is I gotta have, just because it looks so damn cool in the painting, let alone the actual toy itself is a fantastic vehicle. So
Yeah.
it didn't take any convincing. If you see the commercials, which all the commercials are great for all the He-Man toys, no matter how silly and campy they were, there was a lot of charm to it and all the cool setups for it. You get to the store and you're looking around for it, and the box art smacks you in the face before the toy actually does. So
Right.
it's like it's the best attention getter, and it really is a shame that toy companies don't look to this kind of advertising for kids to make them wonder. I'm gonna, Daddy, I want the same generic John Cena figure that I got three of already at home, but he's got an orange T-shirt this time. Oh wait, what the hell is that?
Right.
And it walks over and sees like this painting of a big purple dinosaur, with a guy with a skull face charging in a Triceratops with a big muscular blonde hair dude and with a big sword in his hand. You're like, what is that?
Yeah. No,
It's
it's absolutely true. You're right. You don't see that. Kids don't go into the stores, and there's no amazing box art that takes them to that new action figure or that toy aisle. It's the same, like you said, generic stuff. There's no art. There's no imagination. And don't shortchange kids. Don't think that, oh, kids wouldn't be into it. No. I mean, my God, when we were 5, did we understand, what beautiful art is? You just seen it, and it drew you in.
Well, that's why we're here. I mean, here to say, look, we're grown men celebrating art from the '80s.
That we remembered when we were like
That was
5
on
or
box
6.
toys and the back. It was just like. I mean, it shows you it's like, no, you can't look at his kids as if like they just don't appreciate that kind of thing. I mean,
Very
look,
real.
it made an impact on us. That's why you have He-Man on the internet and various websites celebrating not just his artwork, but Earl's and Errol's and Larry Houston and Bruce Timm and various people who've worked on this property at some point, because the box art was just unforgettable, no matter what it is, no matter what. Road Ripper, another example. I mean, it just did not matter. I think the Skeletor and Screech 2-pack, and then the Skeletor Manny Faces and Panther 2-pack,
the one that
or 3-pack, excuse me.
Yeah, the one that really got me was the one that was the Battle Armor Skeletor and Landshark one. Because
that was cool.
That's what I mean. I wish so many people could see some of these, because those are, like you said, are on a lot of those 2-packs, 3-packs, special ones that many of us didn't get. Because when I was growing up, if you already had the figures, and you ask, hey, mom and dad, can I get that? First, they're going to tell you, why do you want this when you already have that figure and that vehicle? Even though you're looking at the cool art, they're like, I'm not going to get that for you unless you were somebody that was rich and you got everything. So a lot of those got missed and, passed by when you were kids. Now you see them popping up online, and it's just like I said, it's captivating. But again, like we said, when we were 5, 6 years old, we were looking at that art, and it was pulling us in. You love seeing it. Was like I said, you're seeing these amazing characters. It's something that entrances you. So what is to satisfy a kid nowadays when they look and it just red, blue package, yellow, gold package, and there's your figure, and it's nothing. It's like there's not even designs. What's fascinating about this?
I mean, if kids can go to Disneyland and still get excited to see Mickey Mouse, who's been around for decades, why can't kids appreciate that when they go down the toy aisle, their local Target or Walmart or Toys R Us, and not be blown away by a big muscular guy fighting a big orange fur guy with a whip in a 2-pack, and just seeing these two coming at each other, they're gonna rip each other a new ass. Like, oh, man, it's like I'd love to have that for my birthday. I don't know what that is, but that looks really cool, Mom.
Yeah.
It's an attention getter, and it's just all these companies today. I mean, if they do, it's like a very generic
It's nothing.
picture character, or they're a lame attempt, or it's just the logo of whatever property you're dealing with.
I just don't think we'll ever see it again. It's sad, but I really don't feel like we will. I don't think we'll ever.
I don't think we will. We've gone this long without them actually using that means of advertising for kids' toys. I mean, if they didn't do it with Turtles, I mean, they're not doing it really with wrestling. They're not doing it with DC superheroes or any of the Marvel toys for whatever movie's coming out or collector's lines. It's just a brief logo and a window box, and that's really about it. Nothing to really.
Like, I'll tell you something for an example. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm right with this because there was many factors that people blame, but you think about the relaunch of Masters with the 2000X figures and
oh boy, did that suck.
Okay. Yeah, real quick. First, the figures had the most plain, bland packaging ever. The vehicles were pictures of the vehicles. I mean, it wasn't art. I feel like that was another factor that could have been an impact of maybe not bringing in kids. Not saying it is, but I'm just saying, picture if they could have had beautiful art on the boxes of the vehicles and Battle Cat and everything else. You wonder, could it have drawn them kids in? But we had the same red, blue, just computer Photoshop looking junk that it wasn't enticing.
I feel like sunk so much money into that reboot. I'm like, in what? Hiring, the two guys to be Skeletor and He-Man at the Toys R Us, reveal with Mario Lopez, aka Slater. I mean, just where did the money go? Or to make sure to ensure you had dozens and dozens of He-Man and Skeletor, variants that nobody was asking for, and was cluttering, and not just Smash Blade and Spin Blade. I'm talking about all the variants of Mega Punch He-Man and Mecha Blade Skeletor, and it just, you name it, it was just like, oh dear. Or was it Power Glove Man at Arms, and just some of the dumbest stuff. And of course, I bought everything because I was like, I'm not gonna let this opportunity of He-Man getting away with not getting one loose and one in the package. I got to do it, even though the package is very lackluster, and I don't want to admit it to myself.
Yeah.
It's even Castle Grayskull, when they released that, it's just pictures of the figures that look like
horrible. Just horrible.
Yeah, really horrible. It's just like that. Yeah, you guys really, really pulled out all the stops and gave it your best shot with your lame packaging, lack of marketing, and emphasis on variants. Yeah. So, but packaging, I think the story's been done to death. We've said it 1,000 times on this podcast. We'll save that devoted story for another episode. But having more explosive artwork on your packaging for not just the figures, but of course for your vehicles and your various play sets. I mean, you look at that Slime Pit play set from the 2000X toy line, and then you look at the one of Hordak dumping it on Beastman, and like with these Roman kind of like Roman like fallen Roman temples and pillars and stuff in the background. You're like, what is all that? What's all that in the background? All this is like this barren wasteland of somewhere wherever Hordak is at, whether it's on Etheria or somewhere on Eternity. You don't know what, but all these questions come up just from looking at that epic packaging of Beastman meeting an unfortunate fate, and then you get the little generic skeleton monster popping out of the slime pit, and a really poor attempt to giving you Skeletor's throne on this packaging, like this lame picture of like part of He-Man with his sword turned looking up. They didn't get it.
Yeah, they just didn't get it for this.
You look at this beautiful slime pit artwork here. I mean, it's
And you know what's also cool about that? It's cool to see.
Getting too worked up here. I'm getting
No,
dry throat from talking so much
no,
here.
that's all right. But what's cool about this, and what I always loved also, was seeing that an evil warrior is getting slimed. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, we know that Hordak, is a bad guy and Skeletor's bad, but you're used to thinking, oh, the Horde, they're going to be sliming one of the good guys. But to see Beastman, I was like, man, this is so freaking cool. So, I mean, it was a sad day because again, William George, I think, is he's as much a factor, I think, of the selling and of the figures and the height and popularity of Masters as anybody else, as the figures themselves and everything, because he's what made you and drew you in to buying so many of these pieces. So we just wanted to honor him, in the beginning of this episode. Yeah, we wanted to honor him because what a great man, and I mean he will be missed, but he's never going to be forgotten.
I mean, there's got to be like a hall of fame of people who've contributed to He-Man, from writers of Filmation, artists of Filmation, writers of the mini comics and artists of and so on and so forth. William George has got his own statue of himself. I mean, looking as proud as ever with
Yes.
the Slime Pit box art right next to it. That's what I'm going to say. Is in the Hall of Fame, a nice bronze statue, Mr. William George, with the Slime Pit box art with a big smile on his face.
He's my favorite artist of all time. I mean, his like I said, his art impacted me more than anybody else. And
so we salute Mr. William George and to all of his family who've lost a very wonderful man, a very talented man. Where our thoughts and prayers go out to all of his loved ones and closest friends and neighbors, people who just knew him to be a good guy, outside of the fact that he was one of the most kick-ass artists that an action figure line could ever know. Or just from a visual standpoint, look at his art. You don't even have to like He-Man. You can't tell me that his artwork did not kick your ass when you look at it.
Yeah, it's
so we again, we'll I'm sure we'll all meet at some point in the Hall of Fame one day, William George, and thank you in person.
Yeah.
In some form or another, there, bud. So
definitely thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the great memories. So, all right, well, we'll move on to another topic. I'll let you go with it. We're going to talk about a vintage storybook that also was a record book, also had a cassette, also had a VHS version, and that's Caverns of Fear. So, I mean, I always love asking you first because I'm figuring every time I ask Tyler, what was your first experience with Caverns of Fear? And it's usually, well, Joe, I had the VHS tape, and that's how I seen it. But I don't know. Did you have the book, the VHS tape? How did you experience Caverns of Fear for the first time? Because everything's usually a tape.
Sensing a bit of sarcasm behind the mask there, Joe, when you introduced me as like the Mr. I was sold on VHS. I guess you're assuming that I never left. I was like Jim Carrey in The Cable Guy. I never got off my ass and was never watching or doing anything else other than watching whatever VHS tape was in my VCR. Is that what you're trying to say?
I figured you couldn't read, so that's why you were just going right to the VHS.
I couldn't read, but still had picture books.
So what was your first experience? Tell me.
The Caverns of Fear Golden Book, not the record book, was the second of the Golden Books that I got at my local Food Line, I believe. Back when Food Line used to, well, I guess they still do. They have a section of like children's books and magazines and coloring books and things like that, and that's where I found the Caverns of Fear book.
And Dirt's holding it up right there. You can see Caverns of Fear.
Yes, there's a copy of this, and in case you're one of those people who is new to He-Man or collect just the toys and doesn't have a lot of this or a lot of that, this story is available. Not just, it's on YouTube in various forms. You've got the record book, which I'm sure Joe is going to be plugging the hell out of.
I
don't know. VHS audio or visual, the VHS format is also on YouTube. I timed it. The segment for Caverns of Fear on the VHS is 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It goes through the entire book. So if there's no reason that if you never seen Caverns of Fear, read it, watched it on the Golden Book VHS tape, that if you don't have the book, you can go on YouTube 3 minutes and 5 seconds of your time to watch the Caverns of Fear segment before you move on to the other 3 Golden Book stories that are on that tape. So,
and also you could even do the record one where you hear the chime.
I just said that.
I know. Shut up. Well, you never did answer though. What was your first experience with it? The actual.
I just told you. It was the second Golden Book I got when I was a kid.
But you didn't say that was the first. I know, but you still didn't say if you got it before the VHS tape. I could have assumed you got the VHS.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now that I think about it, I think because I remember getting the VHS tape. I think sometime after my 4th birthday from my grandparents. They also gave me Stinkor at the same time, and I want to say I think I got the Caverns of Fear book probably before because I thought it was really cool to see.
Okay.
That's something I have to rethink because I ended up getting all 3 of the Sword of Skeletor, Thief of Castle Grayskull, and Caverns of Fear, which to me is a trilogy of stories because it's on the Golden Book VHS tape and they kind of play in sequence.
Well, that'd be a first for Tyler to have a damn book before the VHS tape, but whatever.
Well, that was a time period where that was around my first year of becoming a massive He-Man fan when I was about 3 or 4 years old. So the renting the tapes, getting the toys at my local Hills, finding the books at Rose's department store or at Food Line or Kmart.
Well, hey,
and then getting the
let me enlighten
VHS.
real quick. Just let me enlighten the fans in case everybody wonders why I keep hassling and giving Tyler a hard time. It's usually because when we'll talk about a Filmation episode of a cartoon, he's like, "My first experience was a VHS tape." Every time it's the VHS. It was never from TV, so that's why I hassle him about this book. I figured, well, he probably didn't read the book first. He probably had the VHS first. But I'll go along with saying maybe you got these books first.
Yeah, can anyone appreciate Joe's attempts at humor here? He's trying to be sarcastic and a little bit of a douche here by mocking me for my initial experiences. But does anyone ever wonder like what Joe is like when he's not off the show? Like, is he going to like his local grocery store with the mask on, digging through produce, checking freshness with the modular mask on, and then one of his neighbors come by, "Hey, Miss Newberry, I'll see you at community theater practice."
Shut up.
He's got the mask on and everything. He goes to his local Burger King. He's like, "I live at number 4." And he takes the food and he's sitting there doing this. And he can't put it in his mouth because he's wearing the mask. And he grabs his mask and starts shaking his head. And then somehow Coffee's sitting in the same booth as he is, comes up and just grabs a hold of the food. And then he really lowers his head because, he cannot do anything simple because he's relying on this man in the red mask, man in the iron mask. He just makes you wonder, like, does Joe like go like to his local bank and flirt with a teller, with the mask on? Does he wink his cardboard eyes at this young lady, and is she seduced? Like kind of like that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine is falling for the video rental store guy. She doesn't know what he looks like, but she's falling in love with his voice.
Thanks.
And that's what Joe is doing. It's probably to anybody around him. So you just kind of have to wonder how does Joe, get around the normal things of life?
It's tricky.
When does he if he can't get his order right, is McDonald's like, do I have to go back there and customize my order here, people?
With an angry mask.
You know who I am, right? You're like, sir, no, we don't. You're wearing a mask.
Well, that's when I go back and I bring this mask, but it's with an angry face instead. That's what I'm upset. But we'll get on.
Joe has customized emotions, so he adds extra eyebrows on the mask to enhance anger, lowers them to make sadness. Or add like a frown to the mask there. He's customizing his custom at all times. He's got him in his pockets.
Shut up. Now,
he's like a gunslinger. He's just ready.
Would you just get to your Caverns of Fear? Go ahead, Caverns of Fear, you lunatic. Go on.
To mess with the bull, young man, you'll get the horns.
There you go.
Anyway, I love Caverns of Fear. The VHS tape made me love it even more as a kid. Like I thought it was a great story. I thought the artwork looked really cool. Story in a nutshell is He-Man and Battle Cat are kind of pretty much on patrol and stop at Castle Grayskull, and there's a well outside Grayskull, and He-Man hears a noise and decides to investigate and goes down in the well and gets attacked by Merman. He smacks, takes out Merman, and then hears further down in the caverns that Teela and Skeletor are battling, and you come to find out that Skeletor heard about this passage to get to Grayskull underneath the caverns, or inside the caverns underneath Grayskull, kind of like Subternia, kind of before we had Subternia.
Right.
But and it's a big battle because the Beastman joins in to fight He-Man. Trapjaw comes in to capture Teela. Man at Arms shows up, and Stratus shows up, and and they, He-Man decides once they've defeated Skeletor, we got to seal the cave up and to keep anybody from coming back down this way to try and get into Grayskull. That's the story in a nutshell. But the interior artwork is really, really good. There's a couple of, like Joe has said before, in the book, Man-at-Arms has no mustache, looks just like the toy. You watch the VHS, they went to the trouble of giving him a mustache.
Yeah.
Skeletor and He-Man, or the voice actors, try to go for what you see in the Filmation cartoon. I mean, they excuse me, man, so dry throat here. But the side, I'm getting too far away. The Caverns of Fear, it's a simple story, but it's got all the basic, characters. It's a good little story. I mean, it's what you want to see. You want to see He-Man fighting Skeletor, and Teela's in a sword fight with Skeletor in it, and all the basic characters are featured. Battle Cat's in it, and I always liked the idea of this well. And I wanted to use this in one of my stories that Carson said he wanted to work with us and do mini comics and stuff like that. And I always wanted to go back to this idea of this well that led you down into the caverns of below Grayskull and explore and do more with that. So I love to utilize this idea from this Golden Book, because I just thought it was such a cool idea. And when He-Man goes down, you see like these pterodactyls flying around in there.
That made it seem massive in there.
It
felt like it was another world, not just a little, spot. It felt like a world underneath there, especially like you said, when you're seeing pterodactyls flying around. But, you're right. There's, I always found it interesting. Like I said, there's just the book, then there's the audio book with the cassette, then there was the one that had the record.
Yeah.
But I feel like I thought I got the record book before watching the Filmation cartoon. It seemed like they were very close. Like they came out both in '83, and I don't know, the chicken or the egg. I don't know which one was out first. I know that, of course, Caverns of Fear was obviously written with the ideas before Filmation, but yes, they both came out.
Yeah, because the Golden Book VHS tape, I think it came out in like '84, I think.
Yeah, so they added, like I said, the Man-at-Arms mustache, the different way the voices are, because if you've ever listened to the one that was on the record, those voices are completely different. And so I remember when I first heard Skeletor, it was kind of this weird kind of like almost tingy Roboto. It was weird. It wasn't even close to what you envision as knowing Skeletor from the Filmation cartoon. It was quite different. But I remember Merman, he freaked me out as a kid when I would listen to that and read the book also, was these weird sounds Merman made, and he looked menacing in that book also. But I loved it. Like I just loved looking at that and listening to it. It just felt like it was his own cartoon, but I just liked listening to it over and over. It was just those things that just suck you in when you're a kid. And you see that Battle Cat doesn't talk in there either. No. Battle Cat, he doesn't speak. So, he obviously, like, everybody heard what Tyler said earlier, but quickly, like, Battle Cat gets thirsty. He-Man's like, oh, what are we doing? Coming to stop. God, I wish we had a machine like a Wind Raider or something. But then he sees the value at the end of Battle Cat because Man-at-Arms lets He-Man know.
Wait, how the hell did you get that in the story?
Get what in the story?
Yeah, that He-Man's like, I wish we had a Wind Raider.
He said that. He said that to Battle Cat towards the beginning. It's something about a machine or a Wind Raider. He said something about a machine.
Sure.
Yes, he said something about, that he felt like, if I had a machine, you wouldn't have to worry about it. In those kind of lines, that's why he was picking on Battle Cat, because Battle Cat had to get thirsty. And, if it was a machine, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But at the end
I'm going, because my book is packed up, and I just...
Well, here, if I tell you the end, you might remember by the end. At the end of it, when they're all, like celebrating and coming to the top, they say, like Battle Cat was sitting there waiting the whole time. What a trusty steed or something. And I think it was Man-at-Arms said something like, well, did you know it was Battle Cat that actually got all of us in the forest and let us know of danger and brought us here? And then he was like, oh, I guess, an animal is better than a machine at times or something. He made some kind of statement like that. So it's like what was said at the beginning came back at the end to say what, the good Battle Cat could, is used for, even though He-Man was just picking on Battle Cat.
Well, because the VHS is completely different from that.
Oh, really? Dirt, what were you saying?
Yeah, I've got the book right here, and it's "What's this?" cried He-Man. "Why are you stopping?" He-Man spied a well then, not far away from the castle wall. "Battle Cat wants a drink, does he?" says He-Man. "Just like any spoiled kitten. Perhaps I will trade you for a Wind Raider."
Oh, okay. And then at the end, what was the thing that was right towards the end, Dirk? Because I know there was a reference of, the good of, Battle Cat was there obviously for a reason.
Yeah, Battle Cat was waiting at the top of the well. "You are a faithful animal," said He-Man, "waiting patiently all this time." "A clever animal, you mean," said Man-at-Arms. "It was he who found us in the forest. When we saw him alone, we were afraid for you, and he led us here." "So," said He-Man, "a live cat is a better steed than a machine. He may need water, but there's much more he can do that a machine cannot."
There you go. And see, morals to the stories, even in the
I
books.
take credit for that because I've always remembered more what the VHS tape said than the. I've had all my golden books put in frames and put them on display, so I remember the interior verbatim, but so I apologize to Joe for questioning, because when he did his whole comment, I wish we had a Wind Raider, I immediately flashed back to him giving me crap over the Quest for He-Man, Quest for the Sword episode, where he comes up with this whole delusions of grandeur, saying, "Why is He-Man wasting his time pulling the other side of the land with his power sword when he could just get in the Wind Raider and hop over? I thought that's what you were doing here."
Oh, I got you. See, because here's the honest thing with me. I didn't have. I think I maybe seen one, and I don't know the order they were, but I know those VHS tapes because, like, besides adding extra little things and details, I always felt like they combined a lot of the stories to make one, and maybe they changed up.
That's why I've always considered it a trilogy. Like those three and the Thief, I mean the Trap, excuse me, came out at the same time. So and then when I got the VHS tape, they played Caverns, Thief of Grayskull, and the Sword of Skeletor back to back.
Kind of mixed it all together.
And it really made it feel like it was one big story broken, because it's called like Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and then it ends with Time Trouble on the VHS tape, which is a story that's completely,
So in the VHS, he never mentioned anything about that, about the Wind Raider and him not.
No. It's in the VHS tape. You're given this extra animation of He-Man riding Battle Cat in like a black silhouette against like the dawn,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear Battle Cat breathing heavy, and it shows the shot of the well. It's like, "I've been working you hard, haven't I?" And you hear Battle Cat roar, and he goes, "What's that? Sounds coming from the well. I must check this out."
Well, I like
no mention of machine, and even when the story ends and you see the group shot of Man-at-Arms with his arm over Battle Cat, which looks a little bit more like filmation than that shot.
All right.
And he says that when we saw Battle Cat was alone, we knew you must have been in trouble. Like, it's completely
I
like
love
you, because I never had a reason to, because I had the story memorized, but the exact dialogue from Caverns of Fear, I just never felt the reason to have it memorized.
No, that's so cool. That's what I love.
Makes the VHS tape completely different.
That's what I like. I mean, I love that what just happened here, because you learned something you didn't know about, and I learned something because I don't even know if I remember seeing that. And if I have, it's been so long, so I didn't know the VHS was different. So it's cool. We both kind of, in a way, taught it, each other something, and everybody out there that's listening that.
See, if people want to sit there and claim that, oh, the guy's offensive power, the thing that knew everything about He-Man, it's like, no. First off, we never claim that we know everything. And the whole point of the show is to learn about Master of the Universe from either our perspectives, from each other here, or from people listening. If we can goof stuff, and this is live, so if we screw up, we're not going to go back and have it edited so we sound like we know what the hell we're talking about.
Exactly. I know I'm not perfect. I'm always messing up. And what's great about this for us, both you and I and everybody that's listening, is now you can go to YouTube and you can watch the VHS version, so you can see that, and then also you could do the audio version from the record player one, and then listen to that and watch how they say, and when you hear the sound, flip the page. And there's two stories. So now when this is over, I look forward to watching your version.
I would love to hear what people have to say about the VHS tape, because it's the voice acting is quite good, and not just for nostalgia reasons. Like, to watch it now, you don't roll your eyes and like, it's a bit silly. Like, the guy who does Merman's voice goes for an Alan Oppenheimer Merman style voice with the bubbly voice, echoes, and Beastman has a gravelly, voice.
So did you ever hear the record version? Did you ever hear that version before? Because you'll be shocked. I mean,
Nope.
Well,
No, and I had the record book, but I had no record player to play it.
Well,
on,
now
so
you
no,
have something to do. Like I said, I'll do mine, and now you have yours to watch on YouTube, and you can hear the record version, so it'll be cool. You have yours, and I'll have mine, and everybody out there, they'll have theirs too.
Yeah, I would love to hear other people too. You know what? And I will do my part. Joe will do his part. We love to hear what people have to say about the. Not that they don't change the stories drastically. Like you coming to find out that when Battlecat ran in the forest, he stopped and knocked up another female green tiger before he found Man-at-Arms or something like that. There's no drastic changes here. It's just simple pieces that are missing here that add a little bit more here, a little bit less there, and it's just interesting to hear Joe tell me that. So.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love this kind of stuff. Like I said,
plus the cover of the cover, which is not done by Earl Norman. Joe clarified that to me.
That is Gino Diachile.
Years ago, a while back.
Yeah,
who is it?
It's Gino Diachile. That's the one who did that cover, and it's beautiful. You can always tell the art is just a little different, but that's what's so fun. Like I said, we learn from each other with doing these episodes. You never know what's going to come up, but
it did because it looks a lot like Earl Norman's work, but it's not, and it's a very epic cover with Trapjaw holding Tila captive, and you got He-Man Skelter clashing, and the Man-at-Arms standing in the back with his mace ready, and it just looks really, really cool. I mean, the book covers for these books alone would make great, fantastic. You hear that, Super 7? Why don't you get the rights to the Golden Books? And enlarge some prints of, the Thief of Castle Grayskull, where Stratus is trying to catch him as he's falling to the ground from the Tower of Grayskull. Yeah. Or the Sword of Skeletor, where Man-at-Arms got smacking some creature in the face, and they're getting ready to duke it out with Skeletor and Beastman, and He-Man's got his battle axe in his hand. And
those would be some nice big old posters.
It would be so cool to have large prints of those made up.
Those would be nice.
So you got to get on that, along with a Webster, Cobra Khan, and Merman Filmation style.
Everything.
And a dialogue, damn it.
There you go. So, that's Caverns of Fear, and now the last part of the show, we're gonna do a commentary, and it's gonna be for the MYP episode, Roboto's Gambit. So I know that you've been probably chomping on the bit as well as I have, and this is our first MYP commentary, isn't it?
It is, and just to show how far we can go, permitting Doug can go the distance with us here. We have plans to do commentaries for all the episodes. I mean, even the ones I'm not really looking forward to ever watching again, but for the sake of the show, if people want us to do a commentary for certain episodes or whatever, we will do it. But it's fun that we're gonna we want to do a lot of MYP episodes. We want to do more She-Ra episodes. We're gonna cover some of the New Adventures episodes, and
yes,
just show appreciation for all aspects of He-Man.
Exactly. So the fans who maybe are watching live with us right now, if you'd want, you can always dual screen and have one with what you're watching with us now, and the other one can be for Roboto's Gambit, which you can find on YouTube. Or if you have it for DVD, you can do it also. And for those who are listening, later on in audio version, you do the same. But what we do is we'll hit play from right where it clicks on. He says, "I am Adam, Prince of Eternia," and that's when we go right along with doing it. So Tyler's usually the one that always do the 3, 2, 1. So whenever you're ready, Tyler, you go ahead and we'll kick it on.
All right, I'm going to count down from 3. I got my controller here. 3, 2, 1, play. And there's Prince Adam, voiced by Cam Clark, and and of course I saw this when this was airing on Saturday nights. At least this particular episode was aired on a Saturday. I believe it was. I want to say it was almost towards the end of because I remember Cartoon Network broke up the first season into 2 parts. I think they realized that it was doing well, so they wanted to play the first half, and then I think
right there. That's when I lost my mind. Roboto's, when that popped up on the screen, because I didn't know. I didn't know if there was a spoiler spot where people knew what was going to be coming up each week. I didn't know because I hate spoilers. When I seen Roboto's Gambit,
well, you were telling me you did not know, when because I remember back in the day they'd released like the entire order of like what episode.
No.
You didn't know who was going to be in it, but the title alone said Roboto's Gambit. And I remember when I saw this, I mean, of course, I
I
love
lost
his
my
voice,
mind. But I remember when I seen that.
but like, this is Roboto? Like, what the hell? I was ready to flip over.
Same thing with me, because first I heard Roboto's Gambit, so I was super excited. I was like, yes, we're going to see what this NYP Robotos looks like. And then when they showed this chess thing and they showed him, I was like, huh? I mean, I was so lost. I was like, why is Roboto so weird and skinny? And I was like, okay, he was created to be a chess partner for, the robot version for Manny Face. But, I mean, I was so disappointed looking at him because I thought this was going to be him.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Looking back in hindsight, I mean, I like his original design too. And this is the only episode that Roboto's voice sounds perfect. Whatever they do to hit the voice actor who does his voice after this episode, they alter it. It's a little bit more upbeat and happy and just like overly inquisitive. I'm like, I don't like that. The Roboto in this, I don't know the right word to describe how his voice characterization can be described, but it's perfect. I was so bothered when he showed up in other episodes, and I'm like, his voice is different.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same actor, but it's different.
Well, as you've seen, he beat poor Manny Faces, so Manny Faces left. But yeah, he was created, as you've seen, as a chess partner to play against Manny Faces. And then now here we go. We're getting into Snake Mountain, and Triclops is so proud to show the new weapon to Skeletor, what he's going to do. And they're like, oh, this thing again? And then I remember seeing, it was like, it's like, what is this little mini version? What is this? I thought it was like, why is an action figure, going to be this great new weapon? As you see, Skeletor is not impressed. Bam, there went that thing. But Triclops has something up his sleeve. You find out something cool that Triclops did with this bone little warrior, skeleton warrior, mutant born warrior, whatever you want to call him. He pops right back, and now he's 2. So when you kill him, strike 1 down and 2 come up.
Which it was when me and my brother saw this air for the first time, we were thrilled to death to see Triclops venture off on his own and pretty much be the villain of this episode, because he was, even though I'm not a fan of him being the scientist,
right,
the technical mind for Skeletor, I'm like, no, I don't like that idea. I figured Trapjaw, since he is a mechanical, is a weapon. He has various weapons. You kind of feel like he's the kind of guy that would be working on things like this, not Triclops. Triclops is more like a surveillance guy, plus the most kick-ass swordsman you've ever seen.
Yeah, and either way, you see right here. Yeah, and as you just seen, Skeletor is not impressed because obviously these little skeleton warriors didn't live up to what Triclops was trying, because they started turning on each other. But Triclops ain't done. Triclops is like, he's going to fix it. He's going to figure a way of making these bone warriors work. And here, this is what I liked here. I love seeing when Teela and Adam were engaging in their, sword battle just to train. And you see that, check Adam out. He bested Teela. It's like they always try to make it seem like Adam is worthless. Adam can't do anything, but he's got his skills. He showed it there. He's proud. I like that. I like seeing him best Teela in battle.
And then we see Teela be a royal, rhymes with punt, like she always is in every episode.
Yep.
Here we have my favorite character of my favorite heroic warrior, Cyclone, showing up here and given a lot of screen time after his first appearance in Mystery of Amwat Gar. I mean, he's given a lot of. Michael Reeves, who wrote this episode, he worked on the original show and New Adventures. I mean, he really takes the task of like, okay, we're going to introduce Roboto, we're going to push Cyclone more, and we're going to make Triclops.
Yep, and you see him disappears like just gone in the wind.
He's definitely like the wise warrior in this.
You know who he reminded me of for that moment? He came in with his nice advice and then left. I know you never watched Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon, but the Dungeon Master used to come in with advice and riddles, and then they would look away and look back, and he was gone. And that was his Dungeon Master moment. But now, as you see, now they get to experience all these little bone warriors too. And, well, of course, pretty much best in Adam, but until he kicks them back into all those guys. Which leads to something, kind of interesting later we'll get to. Because as you see, Cyclone, when he came out, he's very wise. He's always trying to give advice. But later on, some of his wisdom I questioned at one point, but
Oh, of course you would. Why wouldn't you? You got anything that's good, you got to sit there and find some reason to get hard and nitpick and be one of the comic book owner or comic book shop owner from The Simpsons. That's what you're turning into right now.
No, not really. Just sometimes you always have your moment where you say something. Not that I'm questioning the episode itself, because it is a great episode. Just some things like, oh, okay. But there you go. You see Cyclone taking care of business. So while he's gonna take care of business, the other's gonna have to go back to the palace and warn everybody of stuff. And I always like the design of these guys with all their little weapons and things. We didn't really get much besides the one that came with that slime pit, as you were talking about earlier. We got the one little mutant bone warrior, but I wished he came with, some shields and axe swords or something, and it would have been cool just to have them as more warriors.
I wish we'd have gotten some like blast attachments for Cyclone to hold his fists out and to make it look like he's his fists are spinning so fast like little cyclones.
Yeah, because you've seen him doing a lot there. Yeah.
What?
You're right, because you've seen him like how in here, beyond just spinning, I mean, his fists are spinning, doing other stuff, and that would have been
launching the discs off his wrists and everything. So his upgrade. I mean, if people say that they felt like 2000X was the better version, I mean, Cyclone is a logical bullet point as to point to why you would think that MYP, and of course Cyclone was given a hell of an upgrade compared to the Formation, which was toy based definitely, but portrayed poorly.
Yep. Oh, it's on now. Here we go. We just got the
transformation. I like season 2's transformation sequence. I think even better than this one, where you see where Adam kind of Hulk up. And
I like that. I hated the snake. The snake armor one done nothing for me though. I
like the snake armor because I thought the snake armor looked cool. It was the only variant of the He-Man toy I thought looked really cool. And Joe's gonna yak over here.
I hated that snake armor transformation. But all right, so now Teela, she's about ready to say what's going on. But no, He-Man. I was like, well, dang, He-Man, you kind of came in and told Teela, no, we're gonna do it like this. It's like, you ain't captain of the guards. You don't say what's going on, but whatever. He does give his advice.
I guess that's probably why she stays pissed all the time. That He-Man came in there and undermined her in front of all of her troops, made her look like a fool.
Exactly.
So it continues to keep PMSing throughout the season and into season 2, and it's like that. That constantly keep her.
He-Man's fault. He-Man's keeping her down. Yep, He-Man kept her down, got her upset. Now you see this. Look, we got about 1,000 of these Bone Warriors, and it's all because of the wise genius Cyclone. It's like, okay, Cyclone, haven't you realized every time you hit these things, they keep multiplying?
Here's Joe again with his logic. He can't just enjoy the fact that if we were doing it Joe's way, we wouldn't have an episode. There would be no turmoil. There would be no problem to solve.
Why does it take them so long to figure, okay, let's hold them at bay in a hole or do this? It's like, no, first let's make 1,000,000 of these little bastards until we realize now let's try to hold them back. So I was like, yeah, the wise Cyclone doing the dumbest thing in the world, but I wouldn't say a thing. So here we go. Let's just get, okay, we make 1,000, get 2,000 of them. So it's like they keep going and going. And He-Man sure ain't helping after a while. I figured, okay, He-Man, just crack the earth there, open it up so they get swallowed in instead of making more and more. But I don't know anything.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know anything, Joe.
Yep, and here comes Teela to be mean.
Oh, yes. Here's one of Teela's most shining PMS moments here.
To pick on poor Roboto, who wants to try to help because he knows strategy, he knows things, and it's like, no, you're not a warrior. So, yeah, that's a way to kick him down. But I guess, if anything, she inspired him to become a warrior. So I guess she did something good. By putting poor Roboto down,
No, he's going to put her in her place, and she's going to shut the hell up. It's just like, okay, well, I've been undermined in front of all of my troops, and now I'm just like, okay, well, here's someone I can put in their place. This chess robot.
I really thought that poor Roboto was going to look like that the whole show. God, did it scare me. So when
that scene happened, you kind of felt like, okay, what's going to happen? But when you see him sitting there, like here, to me, I consider this like a RoboCop moment when he's assembling himself together. I think of RoboCop.
Yeah, you knew something was going on. I was like, oh shit.
Man, I love the sound effects like this. And when he wait, is this is going on? And
he pops that.
here we go. Slam the helmet on, stands up.
It's like it's
Oh,
on
man,
now. Yeah, I
sound
like
effect, everything.
And then you'd seen this big son of a gun. It's like, now we got Roboto. Then I was excited.
Roboto, this is, oh man, of all the media, I mean, this is probably like that to me, that is the coolest moment is Roboto.
I loved it. I loved it.
Changing himself to become a battle robot. And I just think that's probably the most definitive moment that we've seen from Roboto over the entire span of He-Man media, from Golden Books, Formation. That moment there, that is the big ass kick.
And here she goes, ready to put down poor Roboto again, and then she sees this big hulking son of a gun. It's like, I kept thinking, oh man, I can't wait to see what he's gonna do. What is he gonna do? Because I figured, is he just gonna have his regular blaster that comes out of his hand?
And she still comes up to him and starts busting his balls again. And 2000 X-Men, please explain to me why you like Teela. I'm like, yes, she's hot in this version, but that is it. She's unbearable to be around.
Oh wait, here's the two McFly brothers, or if you will. If Marty could have been, George, if he could have been double down, because they're just tearing them to pieces. Oh, now we decide, let's lure him in this cave and get him out. There goes Tyler.
Like if Joe was sitting with a bunch of kids, they'd all jumped him and just beaten him to death.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just like this Joe guy won't shut up already.
Yep. So here's
constantly tearing apart. Joe's the kind of guy that's going to come along and tell kids like the truth about Santa Claus or something like that. With this kind of mentality he's got right now.
Santa Claus is real. All right. It's real. So there, he's led them all into that giant thing, and now to escape. So I figured, now they're going to keep multiplying too, but whatever. But anyway, so then bam, Cyclone's gonna.
Oh, it's so cool. Watching Cyclone go into his. It looks so cool. I mean, they animated his spinning action just so good in the show.
Yep. I'll admit, I like what Triclops did next, how he upgrades them into like version 2 when he does that in a second, because that really made these suckers freakier, as you will see in about a couple seconds or a minute or whatever. You're gonna see it's like now these things seem scarier, because not saying they weren't intimidating with axes and swords and stuff, but when you have things, as I always say, that are being shot at you, that can make things a little more dire, if you will, especially when you have thousands of them, and as you see coming out, and now they're going to be blasting at you too. It's kind of freaky. So yeah, I mean, you'll see in a sec. There they go, bam! They have these blasters come out. It's like, those are some intimidating things. So I kept wondering the whole time, like, how are they going to stop these things? Of course, we'll see later how they do it, but I kept thinking there was going to be a pit. The whole time, I really was expecting He-Man to open the ground and have him get swallowed. I knew Roboto would come and do something too, but I was wondering, well, what's his part going to be? What's he going to do? So look at that. I mean, just seeing that, it's like massive. You kept thinking, oh my God.
Kind of makes you think of like the Battle of Helm's Deep, and you got all those, Urukai like coming towards Helm's Deep, and there's just hordes and hordes and hordes of them. And I like seeing He-Man and Cyclone, have a great team up, because you'd see a lot of promotional stuff with them back in the 80s, like the two of them teaming up on pajamas and T-shirts and stuff like that, and comic books. And it's cool to see the two of them teaming up, to take on Triclops' army here. It's just really, it's just cool. I like, because to me, He-Man and Cyclone seem like a natural duo. Like, you have He-Man and Man-at-Arms. Well, I mean, He-Man and Cyclone to me just seem like a very natural duo that you would see together on many adventures, like Buzz-Off and Mechaneck.
Yeah. Oh, there they stopped half.
I think the two of them look so cool together. Look at them standing next to each other. They look awesome.
Yep. Well, they took care of half that they buried into that one gully. Now they got another half. It's like, okay, you've seen what happened before. Here we go again. Time to make another 1,000. Oh my God! Why they don't learn, do they?
Joe, what are you doing here, Joe? Is that mask coming up the circulation to your brain here?
God, it just killed me every time. But anyways, here we all right. Now we're gonna start seeing somebody make an appearance here pretty soon, and he should be getting down to business. Of course, there's Teela's trying to see what's happening.
Yeah, doing nothing but doing a lot of bitching.
Well, she's trying to.
She's doing nothing, Joe. No matter what your logic is here, the woman is doing nothing. Except standing around and probably busting another Royal Guard's balls, right now. She's probably getting ready to do it right now.
Some of the guards look so skinny. I don't know why they just look. I don't know, so strange. I don't know. They just didn't look. I don't know. I just battle worthy. They looked kind of. I don't know. Like they needed to eat something. They did look really skinny. I thought that they were. I don't know. Skeleton like. Just kind of weird.
Well,
Every time.
they're lean royal guards as opposed to the formation where they all kind of share a similar build to like Man at Arms and He-Man, where they all go to the same gym.
Yep. I love this. Like I said, this is where
Roboto
Roboto.
Right here.
Yeah, see, he's showing about how he kept talking about all along. It's all about strategy. It's like chess. It's a game. You got to figure out to take out the one that will take out to win. So obviously he's looking and he's eventually going to see what's causing all of this stuff. And there, he sees that that's the reason. It's Triclops and whatever that device is. So, see, he's good for something. And of course, he's going to be good for a lot more. He's going to be doing something. You'll see. So there we go, fighting off all these little critters, gremlins, whatever you want to call them. They're so small, but they're trying to take advantage. He-Man's taking them out, but now they're going one way. And where's he at? Roboto's got to be popping up here eventually to come save the day. Oh, wait, here he is. That's what I like. Roboto shows up here next to He-Man. I'm surprised He-Man didn't question, like, who are you? Because he didn't see Roboto upgrade. He doesn't know that's an upgrade to Roboto. That could have been a whole different robot for that matter. He never questioned that. I don't know. Did you ever find it strange to stand right there like, hey, how's it going? It's like, who are you? Where'd you come from?
No. Look at my face.
But you know I'm right. He doesn't know who this guy is. He'd never seen Roboto upgrade himself. But now
I'd pull a Jim Cornette and I'd just start slapping the hell out of you right now if I was
I love this part. I love this part. He went all crazy Rio Blast, if you will. Just bam, just shooting guns like crazy. And of course, he's making 1,000 of them too. But no, it showed.
Joe, I swear, you are ruining this for viewers and watchers of this episode because you're constantly you're like picking away the scabs all the time here.
It's so good, but there he goes. I mean, he's shooting. He's going to town there. He is getting down.
Do you really think people are going to care about how many more he's making when Roboto's coming out there looking like Robocop, just blasting people all over the place?
Right, he is. He's getting down. I know, you're right. So it is. They're making a bunch more. He's making a bunch more. But yeah, they got to get that freaking device. That's what I like. That was like a sacrifice that he did. He knew what he was doing. He's drawing them all to him, so then He-Man can go over there to get to Triclops and take care of that device. So Roboto is right now, for those who maybe didn't watch or will eventually watch, Roboto just got taken down by those thousands of little skeleton warriors that jumped him. So now it's He-Man and Triclops, and it's pretty cool. I like seeing Triclops start using his eye blaster again that had those gigantic fireballs.
Yeah, one of those things where you expect to see that, and it almost seemed like a natural thing when they did this show is to have Triclops fire optic blast out of his eyes, out of his three different types, on top of the sword fighting skills that he has.
Yeah. But I liked it. I like seeing the fireballs because they, for some reason, at certain angles, look so massive, But and here's Battle Cat coming in to help, knocks him down. Bam! They get that, and there you go. He's gonna get the device, and that's the only way to stop these suckers. So see, Battle Cat snatch that thing out of his hand, and with a crush, boom, they're done. So there's the threat, I guess, taken care of. So I don't know what they're going to do with all
play upon Joe's constant logic problem. What if crushing that didn't do anything? It just stopped them from upgrading. Like, it didn't actually shut them down.
Yeah,
it's like punching the elevator and assuming it's going to shut down the elevator, do whatever you ask it to do. But imagine crushing that, and the army still keeps coming. Like, that was the only way to shut it off, was the controller, like punching, like to turn it off.
Wouldn't that be a backfire? But of course, then I was thinking too, it's like, oh no, he crushed that one. But what's to stop Triclops from just making another one of those remote control things? Whatever. But I wouldn't pick on. So there you go. Skeletor's taking away Triclops in that vehicle. That's probably the one thing I don't think I ever bought from
the pterodactyl. Yeah, I remember buying it the first time I saw it. I mean, immediately. Like anytime I saw any of the toys,
I just didn't like that vehicle. I didn't like that vehicle.
Well, I mean, it's definitely it's an uninspiring vehicle compared to like Roton and Landshark.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Now Tila's feeling sympathy. It takes Roboto getting ripped to pieces for her to feel bad now, huh?
Yeah, someone's got to die for you to have any emotion, woman.
Yeah, poor thing. I guess he did have his RoboCop moment. Well, of course, RoboCop was ripped to pieces before he became RoboCop, but you know what I mean. But of course, he
Yeah.
got shredded up.
Like, looking at RoboCop 2, yeah, Kane and his grew torn to pieces. That's what happened here. Triclops was Kane, and his robots was a little brat kid who cusses all the time, and they just tore RoboCop apart here.
Oh, now look at now she's poor thing, feeling so bad. It's terrible. You shouldn't have somebody be so mean through the episode, almost like how I've been through this episode, but it's just been joking. But
Joe's been the hero of this episode.
there you go. Well, there you go. He's back and he's upgraded even more. So that's pretty cool. You get to see Roboto back, and is he gonna hug her and crush her, or is he doesn't give her a hug?
He's gonna backhand her.
No, so yeah, you get to see him with his cool upgrade, and I think now we're going back to Snake Mountain, and you know how I was talking about, hey, why don't you just put one of those devices and you can just do them all again? We can maybe see something like that here in a second. Not that I'm spoiling.
That makes you wonder if Panther is really soft, like when Skeletor's petting him. Like, does Skeletor like petting Panther? Because like, Panther, your head is so soft, like he just likes to sit there and just rub his hair and probably play with his big ears.
There you go. So Triclops kind of, I think Skeletor got the gist of maybe Triclops had some plans that he was going to do when he created those skeleton warriors that maybe he would have tried to. Well, there you go. So what Skeletor got all those devices himself, bam, he brings up the creatures. So there you go. The threat could just keep going on and on forever.
Which, I'm sure because Skeletor is the Lord of Destruction, he probably would lock Triclops in the throne room and have Triclops just struggle for probably a few hours going through the repetitive motion just to shut it off and say, look, this works, but I call the shots around her. I'm in charge of the grand scheme and plans. Don't ever do this again without my authority.
There you go. And of course, it ends with a nice moral from Cyclone. And I'm not dropping names. We cannot drop names because I said I wouldn't do that. But there was, speaking of Cyclone there and with his radar, I'll just transition into a quick little story that I posted. I spoke with this young woman this week, and she went to a comic convention, and she told me about her finds at this comic convention. And she said she got the butterfly girl from She-Ra as for a vintage one. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, you talking about Flutterina? And she said, no, the maybe the bee one. I was like, oh, Sweet Bee? She said, yeah. So, oh, okay. I was like, what else you get? And then she said, oh, I got a She-Ra bed sheet. She said, I got Bumblebee. I was like, oh, you got a Transformer? She said, no, Bumblebee from He-Man. I was like, you talking about Buzz Off? She's like, oh yeah. I was like, God, yeah, some fan you are. So I was hassling her. She was cracking up, but then she tried to redeem herself, and by redeeming herself led to the funniest. We lost it. She said, but I did get Stratos. She said, and he was all complete, and she had that. He had that GPS thing on his chest. I said, what? I said, are you talking about Cyclone with his radar? She just started losing it because she knew what she said was wrong. But oh my God, I lost it. I said, okay, now I'm going to hassle you every time. The Stratos has the GPS on his chest. I was like, oh. So that was just an insane story. It killed me. She's a fan. She loves He-Man and She-Ra, but she fumbled up a couple names, and that one was a doozy. So now when I see...
Were you wearing a mask when you were doing this flirtatious...
Yes, I was.
Pulling an Antonio Banderas routine with this young lady here.
Yes, I was doing my best version of a Zorro. But no, so now anytime I see Cyclone, I'm going to think of Stratos with the GPS on the chest. So... but that was a great episode. That was a fantastic episode. I know I was giving a little hard time.
It's one of the best of the NYP series. I would probably even put it in my top 5.
Yeah,
because I love how Roboto and Cyclone are portrayed in it so much, and Triclops being the villain of the show gives it an extra boost. Yes. I don't think we've ever done like a top of the NYP series. We may have to do like a top 3, top 5 of the NYP series at some point. I think we did that with Filmation a while back, but I don't think we ever did it with NYP. And I don't think we ever did it with She-Ra either. Where we like our top 3 or top 5 episodes from each of those. We've ranked the series, we've discussed them in multiple times, but I don't think we've ever done them.
We'll do our tops. We haven't done our tops.
We'll have to do like a top 5 or a top 3 because I almost feel like Maybe we'd have to go back and do like a top 5 of the He-Man Filmation as well, because I don't know if we ever. I know we did before. We did like a top 3 mini comic, and I think we did a top 3 episode. But I think like with everything else, with you and I on here, we can upgrade everything.
Right, we'll get to
make it and redo it. But definitely need to do a top 5 MYP. Roboto's Gambit would be my top 5.
All right, we'll do our tops. Definitely, we'll get to those. But before we get to your recommendations or anything else, I guess we'll pass it to Dirt in case he has any PowerPoint takeaways from the show.
Yeah, we do definitely have some things that we learned tonight from you guys. This is golden stuff here. Let's see. First up, without box art, kids don't know how to play with toys. That's what we learned.
Exactly.
Let's see. We learned that when Tyler talks about Joe flirting, Joe's face gets red under his red face. And finally, we now owe $43.27 in royalties to Jerry Seinfeld. So keep that in mind as you run with those references.
I'm perfectly fine to give that man as much money he wants for me. He's given me years and years of laughs, so it's the least I could do for the man.
All right, back to you guys.
All right, thank you.
Let's see. My recommendation for this week. Gosh, what if we stick along the line of MYP here? That's probably what I'll do. I really like, and not to piss Joe off, but he's going to be pissed off anyway. So I guess now that I know he's going to be pissed off, I'm going to recommend this one especially, is Orko's Garden from MYP. And because I love Mossman's upgrade in this episode, and I love Evil Seed's portrayal. Not that it upstages Filmation. I hold Filmation and MYP Evil Seeds on the same level. So, but I thought it was a great interpretation of both of those characters, and it was fun to see and it seemed like a natural rivalry to establish between Mossman and Evil Seed. I do like Mossman and Stinkor as a rivalry as well. Excuse me, jeez. But Orko's Garden, if you are, I'd like to think that I'm sure a lot of listeners have probably seen most of the NYP series. But if you're coming back to the fold as you could with any episode, listen to Fans of Power. And Orko's Garden is available on YouTube to watch on DVD. Not hard to find. Just do a Google search. You can probably find it on Daily Motion as well. So Mossman's kicks ass in it, and Evil Seed kicks ass in it. So that's my recommendation for this week. Staying in tune with Roboto's Gambit.
No, it was a good episode. I mean, everybody knows I'm not really a fan of the anime type Evil Seed. I felt like
I don't like anime, period. But I didn't feel like Evil Seed's interpretation was very anime inspired, though.
I feel like
anime inspired. But you had King Randall doing backflips to the air with the fast lines of intensity behind King Randall. When just stopped. Does back.
Like I've seen that kind of demon look before. I mean, it's still cool, but it just definitely was it as original as the Filmation Evil Seed? No, but yes, was he more intimidating? Appearing? Sure, he was, but I just wasn't a fan of the redesign. But still, it was a fantastic episode. Orko's Garden, it was. So. Well, okay, as for me, it's just time to do the closing things. It's time to say, go to fansofpower.com, go to popculturenetwork.com, go to hemanworld.com, and on Facebook, go to Masters of the Universe He-Man is your ultimate fan group. All great places, all great people. So until next time, have a powerful day.
Hey, Pinocchio, where are you going?
Hey, back to the birds, baby. Great show.
Never get enough of that.
There you go, William George, baby. There you go, yeah. William.